Save the lid.
Saving the world one plastic container at a time. You know, there are situations where desperate times call for desperate measures, because I'm in a wide open area right now with a lot of traffic, and there's really no good concealed location to use the restroom. So found the most optimal spot possible and just went for it. I don't think I revealed myself to anyone, but who knows. The 9460R and the grain cart have been out here in the field east of the main farm getting blown off. We probably should get it out of the way before it gets gassed by the NH3 bar, because it's coming around the corner right now. We got a quad track running today. That's a sharp looking rig. It's very easy to tell if you're downwind from the anhydrous bar. Whew. Opens your sinuses right up. We're gonna do some preliminary cleaning on the grain cart and then power wash it after lunch. Soak it down, clean out the tank. It's gonna need quite the intervention given what it's been through this season. Some water, some pressure, and maybe a little bit of Jesus could do it some good. It was a pretty successful preliminary wash on the grain cart. The garden hose wasn't quite enough once I got started, so we broke the power washer out. We'll give it an hour or two to soak up and dry off, and then hit it again with some soap and some more pressure, and it'll look brand new when we're done. I don't know why you guys went through all that mud this year. You just made a mess for all of us to clean up later. If I had known this was on the job list for the day, I probably would have called in sick, because I'm dirty now. These acted more as goggles than they did sunglasses, but it's better than nothing. I can't recall a time where I've ever been as happy as I am right now to see an anhydrous bar running out in our fields. A couple weeks ago, we were really facing the prospect of not getting any of this prepaid NH3 on our fields for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, one, it was so wet that the tractor couldn't even cross. Secondarily, anhydrous ammonia is a liquid under pressure. However, in the atmosphere at standard conditions, it's a gas. So if there's not enough dry material or dirt on the topsoil for those berms to create, that gas will literally leak right out of the ground. Now, it doesn't take very much liquid to create a lot of gas, but in extreme wet conditions, which we're not facing right here, that stuff will just jump right out of the ground and be gone, and you're essentially just burning money. Not only are they getting it on, they're getting it on in style. Let's go see how Nutrien rolls. For how wet it's been over the last month, the anhydrous is going on relatively well. There's a few spots here and there where we'll get a little bit seeping out, but at the end of the day, it's not really that big of a deal. As you may have gathered at this point, we do have Nutrien out of Neoga, custom apply all of our anhydrous and supply the product itself. By the time you account for the labor, fuel, depreciation, and risk of putting on anhydrous ammonia, it's almost stupid not to let them do it. Like I said, they do a great job. They've always treated us well. We've been using them for decades at this point, or at least the previous renditions of Nutrien out of Neoga. They've changed names, crop production services, and a few other things since then, but we've been working with the same group of people for a long time. That, and they tend to be the best price. So speaking of prices, that is the reason we were so worried about getting this nitrogen on. Given the opportunistic nature of fertilizer manufacturers and the unprecedented energy crisis in the world, especially in the European countries, the price of the fertilizers are so high. Natural gas is extremely expensive abroad, meaning prices of fertilizer, which are usually derived from natural gas energy, are sky high. We're a little bit better here in the United States, but on a global scale, it's not looking pretty. We got this nitrogen locked in at a very friendly price. It's in the 700 to 800 range, just to kind of give you guys an average. If it were to have happened to stay too wet for us to get this on, nitrogen prepay contracts are kind of an option where if you don't get it used, or put it in your own storage, the contract is null and void. So December 31st, if this would not have been on our ground or in a facility of ours, which we do not have any, we would have lost those prices. And as of right now, spring NH3 prices are looking to be 40 to 50% at a minimum higher than what we have this locked in for. Anhydrous ammonia, or NH3, is the most potent form of nitrogen fertilizer you can put on your fields. Simply put, it is the most cost-effective because it is the quintessential product that starts all other nitrogen fertilizers. Anhydrous ammonia is the key thing after the Haber-Bosch process that is used for fertilizers, and then the derivatives all come from there. That's why it's the best price, it's the strongest, and also happens to be the most caustic. At 82% nitrogen per volume, that means every ton we put on our fields, we're getting 1,640 pounds of actual in. We're applying right around 120 pounds of actual in here. We switched to a split shot. We are also coupling this nitrogen pass with a nitrogen stabilizer in-serve. We view that as kind of an insurance policy to invest this very large financial investment for our corn crop. It temporarily inhibits those microbes that convert ammonium, the soil-bound form of our nitrogen, into nitrate. A plant available form, but also an easily leachable way for our nitrogen to leave the ground. So we want to prevent that for as long as possible, ensure that as much of this ammonium stays bound to our soil particles, and it's there for us to use next spring and summer. I guess I should mention that there's no guarantee that nitrogen is going to be more expensive next year. Markets can do anything, and they're very hard to predict, but the way the cards are looking right now, it is going to be more expensive. Even if you take the energy shortage out of the equation, you look at near $6 corn prices, and not to say too much here, but it seems like fertilizer prices are very strongly correlated with corn prices. Is that a conspiracy? I think not, but most farmers will agree. I don't know about all of you, but watching that sweet quad track run has me in the mood to go run an equally awesome tractor. One that we've been waiting all fall to turn some dirt with. Yes, it's that time. We're gonna go see if it's dry enough to play with the 9620R. They definitely make you earn the right to check the oil on this thing. Looks good. I'm excited. Let's just take a moment to admire how sweet this tractor is. Let's go turn some dirt. First date, kind of nervous. Guess we gotta get started to get finished, or to see how dry the field is. I believe on our other 4-wheel drives we chisel them about 9th gear, so we'll start there and see if we got enough power. We don't appear to really be working the tractor that hard. What an ironic place to run this tractor for the first time. That's where I got the grain cart stuck. I say there's a little compaction there. ground, you can't even tell anything's behind this, but once we get into that lower, softer, dark stuff, it pulls really hard. 10 miles an hour with a 23-foot ripper is impressive. It is absolutely cooking through the field right now. How many engine hours does a tractor have to have on it before you're allowed to eat in the cab? Asking for a friend, of course. Surely not me, hungry already. Is 7.5 enough? Okay. Don't tell anyone, but I'm gonna eat something. I'm pretty impressed with this tractor so far. Let's see how deep we're working with this 2720 ripper. Probably about 10 inches plus. It's good to me. Ground's definitely wet, but we want to get these stalks worked up, and this isn't a big deal at all. That'll mellow out. I've got entertainment for the night too. I can play with these 4600 displays. They're a great time waste for a techie like myself. I got stuck in this field? I don't know what you're talking about. Not like I left any trace. And if I did, the great eraser that is a disc ripper will hide it. It is but a distant memory now. Unless I get this stuff trying to do it. Now it's distant memory. No one talk about that. That didn't happen. I've been slaving away at this field for over an hour now. Noticed a few different things. First and foremost, this tractor is extremely comfortable, and you can almost go all the way around with your seat, which is nice because I can not have to move very much and see everything that's going on both front and behind. And on the other side of the equation, as I've gone farther to the east into the darker lower ground, it is much wetter. I'm debating pulling out of the field completely. There's spots where I won't be able to make it through with the ripper unless I pull it out of the ground and just run the shanks. You know, I'm not entirely sure whether or not I should keep going, but for now I am. And the boss is on his way because I have a loose hydraulic line on the ripper, and then one of our spacers on the front axle seems to be loose, or a couple of the bolts I noticed. Either way, one of the nicest restroom facilities I've ever used out in the fields. That gets a 10 out of 10 on Yelp. That leads me to the problem at hand, or one of the two. I crossed this jungle gym. That right there looks like a less than ideal location for hydraulic line, specifically because it's rubbing up against this tandem wheel here, and the mud's not helping at all either. So I think we need to stretch the hose out. That'd explain why there's a little bit of slack there. Bring it around and then maybe tie it up there or something. And then our second problem, which I noticed the first time I used the restroom here, on this spacer, there's some loose bolts. You'll see them. There's just two. That one right there, and that one right there. Those shouldn't be loose. I'm gonna dive into this while I wait on the zip ties. Work backwards. It could have just come loose on its own, or we could have done this ourselves. It's been another beautiful evening out here, other than the mud on the tractor. Nice sunset. This is possibly one of the last nice days we have this season. So anyone who's still got soybeans out, hope you got them cut. Here comes the parts guy.
This one.
Yeah.
Is the other side okay?
Yeah, it was fine. It didn't have the slack in. I don't know if we did that or if it did on its own.
Where did you get all the mud?
Out in the field, it's kind of wet in spots.
Was it too wet to be doing?
I don't know what the
Threshold is?
yeah, threshold or cutoff for that is.
Is there anything else that looks like it needs tied? Bolt's bad.
Is it? Well, it might not be.
It looks like it's tight against there though.
No, it's definitely not. Or something's out of whack because there's a gap in there. I wonder if the lights are any good on this thing. Surely they are. Let's give it a shot. Wow. Yeah. They are pretty good. Much to my surprise. Good old LEDs. This ground is not getting any drier, but I think we're going to keep working it. Hopefully I don't get stuck in this field for the second time this year. Although I have learned in my tenure here that if you have a tillage device on the back, usually you can just lift up out of the mud and spin your way out of it with the tractor. What I had in the grain cart was essentially a weighted sled dragging me down in the mud. Onward we go. Believe it or not, running a ripper like this was one of the first jobs I had on the farm driving equipment. I'd come home from school and in the evenings, I'd get to run one of our 9430s, pulling a 512 ripper, which is just an older model of this 2720. Not a whole lot's changed. The tractors have gotten nicer. I've gotten grumpier, but we've been doing the same thing for decades. Just different shades of the same color. I think it's been a good hard night of turning dirt and a long day of getting some farming done. So we're gonna call it, pull her out here into the soybean field to the north, let her cool down. Maybe some of this mud will be dried off by the morning, it'll fall right off. And maybe the rest of that field will be dry, because we got about, I don't know, 30 acres or so left to do. Some of it we may have to go around because it's not pretty out there. Alrighty folks, I'm back at my home base. I don't know about you guys, but this whole daylight savings time change has really got me screwed up this year. I like gaining an hour's sleep one day, but I don't enjoy that the sun sets an hour earlier. Makes my days seem much shorter. I'm not going to complain because that's way above my pay grade. Anyways, that's going to be it for the video. I appreciate you all tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!